the silent Christian gospel, just as he was talking with a handful of us, you had to be almost one-on-one. There were like 6, 8, 10 of us. And so many awesome times.
Awesome.
Headbanger Bob, ladies and gentlemen, from the Kingdom Come Festival.
And we will come back home, and we will come back home, home again. From now on, these eyes will not be blinded by...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing to broadcast live on site at the Kingdom Come Festival. Steve, what do you have for us in this moment?
You know, well, man, I know you're sitting right beside me, but sometimes I feel a little lonely. I feel like you've forsaken me, and which I find is actually a little offensive because to a lot of these people, I'm really a hero, you know?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I see you as a hero. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are welcoming today Casey. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. So, Forsaken Hero, that's a great name, but what does it mean to you? What are you trying to get out with the name Forsaken Hero?
Well, Forsaken Hero, we are a kind of like pop rock kind of CCM band now, but we started out as like a heavy rock band, and we're really influenced by Skillet and a lot of the earlier classic Christian rock bands that my dad listened to, but Skillet was kind of where we got the name because they had a song called Forsaken and a song called Hero, and it just kind of clicked. But we have biblical meaning to it too, because we believe like the world, especially the world we're living in right now, is kind of forsaken God and kind of taking a step back away from him, and he was the hero that came, he gave his son to die for our sins and things like that. So that's where we kind of came up with the name. I mean, we've had the name since we were in high school, 10 years ago when we first started the band. So it's just kind of stuck with us because we used to really be into comic books and things like that. So that was another part of it too. Like it just had that comic booky vibe to it.
Yeah, cool.
So how would you describe the band's style?
Now I would describe our style kind of like a, I don't know what band to compare it to, but, kind of pop rock with like kind of what you'd kind of hear on the radio, but a little bit more rocked up live when you're hearing it in person.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, is this your first time at Kingdom Come Fest?
No, this is our second year at Kingdom Come Fest. We play last year was our first year.
Tell us what do you like about playing festivals versus one-off concerts?
Playing festivals is just seeing friends and getting to meet new faces and see people from all over the country because so many people come out to these, especially with this being one of the only festivals of the year. Because I toured with another band called As We Are last year, and both of those guys are playing in different bands, and even one of them got to play on the song with us today. So that's cool, just the camaraderie and getting to see people you don't get to see when you're out doing your own shows and things like that. Because I've always dreamed of doing festivals and stuff. That was always my big thing that I loved going to as a kid, and listening to all the different bands, and there's so much variety is what I love about a festival.
So with Forsaken Hero, what's the plan now, and what's the plan in the future as far as projects go?
Well, we had an album come out last year that was produced by Josiah Prince of Disciple, and we didn't really have any other plans to even start writing music until next year. But then when the pandemic happened, we were just bored and had nothing to do, no shows and everything, and so we started writing music. And we started reaching out to some of our friends whose shows were canceled too, and we started collabing on songs. We ended up, within 2 months, having a fully finished, self-produced album, and it's already out. It came out a couple weeks ago, and we have one radio single from it streaming on, it hit the Christian Music Weekly charts this week. And so in this time, it was a time of lockdown and a time of darkness, but we came out with new music in this time, and God gave us new songs. And we even did a song with Skillet's former drummer, Lori Peters, and her husband, and Rico Thomas of New Song played on that song too. So we've been able to work with a lot of artists that we've always dreamed of working with, just because nobody's busy doing anything right now. So it's hard to say no to music work right now. So everybody was gung-ho about hopping on board with us.
Yeah. So, with Christian music, Christian rock, metal, whatever the genre, really, there's different things you can do in it, right? Some songs are really focused more on the praise. Some are focused more on evangelism, bringing people to Jesus. Maybe others are focused more on helping people develop their walk with Him.
Right.
Where do you guys kind of fall lyrically in what you're trying to accomplish?
I think in my earlier days of writing, it was more kind of like trying to be as theological as possible and things like that. But here recently, I want to write songs that could draw someone to Christ who doesn't know Christ. That like when they hear the song, it'll resonate with them. Because like I always say, like when people ask how did Lauren Daigle and people like that get famous so fast, because they have a song like You Say that just, no matter if you're a Christian or not, it resonates and it hits a note with you. And so that's the music we strive to write. We strive. About 2 years ago, a movie came out called The Greatest Showman. And until that point, we were a heavy rock band. And when I saw that movie, it just changed my whole perception of music and the way music is written. So when I saw that movie and just the way the songs were written and the way they made me feel was like, that's how I want to write music. I want to write music that makes me feel that way. And we were doing a lot of metal stuff, and we were trying to be the next Skillet, the next Stryper. We even opened for Stryper twice.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2016, we played on their Fallen tour and their Tell with the Devil tour. And so we were thinking that, that's what we always wanted to do, but it wasn't going a lot of ways. I wrote a Christmas song, and I decided to go to Nashville and meet up with Josiah, Prince of the Disciple, and have him produce it. I was like, I'm going to put this out. It's a CCM song. Let's just see what happens. And change up our style just for one song, just for Christmas. And then it hit the Billboard charts and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is what's resonating with people. So we started kind of writing songs more in that direction. It was still the rock vibe, but still they can resonate with people and be something that like a lot of radio stations are not going to turn away from, because like it's right down the middle enough for them to still be able to play it.
Sure. Man, that's great to hear how versatile and how much you're looking to get the listener's ear more than driving home what you want to do, and that's a great perspective to have as an artist. So, what are some ways that your fans can support you, and where's the best way they can find your music?
Our music is on every streaming platform. You can stream it anywhere. We have CDs for sale that we if people message us, we can autograph them and send them, because we have two of the album we did last year with Josiah, and then this album that we've self-produced that are out, and you can get them pretty much everywhere. And we have Facebook, Instagram. We're starting to try to do this TikTok thing that everybody's doing because it's blown up so much. So still trying to figure out how all that works, because social media is a behemoth. So trying to figure out all that. But yeah, we've got pretty much all of it. So pretty much anywhere where you can find music, it's there.
Well, Casey, thanks for being with us. Casey Price from Forsaken Hero. Really appreciate you spending some time with us today, and hope you get a chance to enjoy the rest of the festival as well.
Can't eat and still mourning from things that I did growing up as a kid. Most lame, no friends, would I ever fit in? So I pretend to be someone I'm not, trying not to get caught, twisted in a knot. Is there something I forgot? Is there something I'm missing? Either way, I'm just wishing that I could be different. Look at the way that I've been living, look at the things that I've been chasing, look at the dreams we've been giving.
All right, Wildman and Steve here, Classic Christian Rock Podcast. We have Aaron Ray with us as we are broadcasting live from the Kingdom Come Festival. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Having a good time out here.
What's this festival been like for you? What was it like being on stage out there?
Well, first off, it felt good because it's been quite a while since anybody's been on stage anywhere as far as performance goes. But man, I just really feel like this festival is different than a lot of others, I really feel like they're really focused on impacting the community and coming out here and making a difference, It's not all just so much about the music, but it's about interacting with people and telling people, hey, God loves you, has a plan for your life. And there's many great festivals that like that, don't get me wrong, but KCF, man, it's dear to my heart. I was here many years ago, and it's good to be back.
Cool. How long have you been in the music business?
Man, at least 8 years, but I've wrote songs since I was 12.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. How would you describe your sound? And I don't say unique, because I know on the one hand, everybody's sound is unique, and that is true. Right. But just kind of, where do you fit in the spectrum of music?
So CHH, definitely, Christian hip hop.
Okay.
But my new stuff is more like alternative rock. It's, as you heard today, it's got a different twist to it. I got Zine from Fight the Fate on a song that's coming out soon. I also got TJ Harris on a track from my latest album, Lazarus, that we dropped in January, and Zana. And everybody knows, these are rock artists.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were like, this is nuts. Like, they're rocking with a hip hop artist.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
So, how did you first started in music, and what is it that led you to the style you're playing today?
That's a loaded question.
That's what we're known for.
So, well, it began when I was writing songs at 12 and 13, right? But ultimately, what led me to the style, I went through a bad depression in my life, a bad breakup. It's kind of funny how when you go through hard times in life, you find out who you are, you know what I mean, and what you stand for, because it tests your character. And so I'm trying to get all crazy preachy and everything, but during this time, you know, I started writing songs more so, right? Like more heartfelt songs. I'm getting where I can sing a little bit, I feel like, you know, where I'm comfortable, you know, maybe screaming at least in a microphone.
Yeah.
But used to, I couldn't even hardly get in front of a crowd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, like, my confidence comes from the Lord alone. And so, like, my thing is, I listened to all these bands, you know, that were, like, just not Christian. And growing up, I was like, man, they're hopeless. Like there's no hope in this music. Like, I would listen to it, and then I'd feel hopeless. I'm like, wow, that's great. I feel more sad than before I turned it on. And, like, it has a way to cope. But, like I said, there's no hope. So it's just temporary. It's just a temporary fix, you know? And so my thing is, I was like, what if I could be that change? What if, because I knew that God called me to music at a young age. Growing up, I watched my cousin play drums, Danny Jr., that's what we call him. He doesn't like the name, but Danny Grace. So anyways, growing up, I watched him play in church all the time, and I wanted to be a drummer. And so I think that evolved into the hip-hop side of things, because the more I got into playing guitar, which is another story, at 15, I started writing more songs that were geared toward, you know, like full rock songs, not just acoustic. And so I was like, yo, I want to, like, try rapping. Because I would hear, you know, people like Lecrae and different artists growing up.
Sure,
like Linkin Park, they were a huge influence.
Oh, okay,
you know?
yeah.
Like, just, you know, throw that out there. Linkin Park, I even liked Atreyu because they had some crazy instrumental breakdowns, and so, like, even Red. So I would rap during their instrumental breakdowns, like, just in the car. I don't know what it was, but it was just something that would come to me. But it was, in this time of depression, I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music. I was, like, on a sabbatical, trying to figure out life. So I actually would listen to the instrumentals. During that is when I really started rapping. Because I realized my prayer, like, as I'm listening to it, I gotta have a prayer in my head and it rhymes, so I write it down. So yeah, that's really how I got into the hip hop.
Yeah.
So you mentioned depression, and if there's one thing in our society today that is a common buzzword is depression, anxiety. You don't have to go far to see people doing seminars on it, books on it, solutions. What's your advice to anyone out there who currently finds themselves where you were?
First off, you're not alone. There's many people that deal with depression. There's people that deal with addiction. There's people that deal with many things that people don't even know about. So you're not alone. And that's what I would tell you first off. Don't believe the lies that you feel like you're in this alone. But what I would ultimately tell them is that, hey, if you look, and my thing is, my hope is in God. Like, what else do we have, you know? So my thing is, I tell people, hey, like, God made you. You're a child of God. And if you go back and you find your identity in Christ, and that's all about the last album I released, 2015, not the last one, but the one before that. It was all about finding who I am in Christ. And that's I believe, you know, the enemy comes to kill, steal, destroy.
Yeah.
And the first thing is he'll lie to us about our purpose, or lie to us about our worthiness, and, you know, whatever he can to get us distracted to believe that, and then he will steal our joy.
So how did you come to your faith? I mean, from our perspective, you're a young man, okay? And I know a lot of young folks struggle with that, or maybe don't even struggle. They're pretty proud maybe not to have any particular faith. Right. So, and you mentioned church earlier. Is that something you grew up in? You grew up around the Christian faith?
So I was the kid that if I was not up ready for church, like going out the door, like my dad would like get me out the door, drag me to church. No, not really. My dad was awesome. Shout out to my dad. He's in heaven, man. So rest in peace. But he's with our Father. So amen. But yeah, I wasn't a pastor's kid, but my dad was really highly involved in church. Like doing worship actually and stuff like that, right?
Oh, cool.
Like slideshows and like